The stars looked the same as they always did. Cold, distant, and endless. Kang Tae-ho stood by the observation window of the research vessel Horizon's Edge and watched them in silence. He had been in space for 3 years now, and the view still made him feel small. But he liked that feeling. It reminded him that the universe was bigger than his problems. Tae-ho was a xenobiologist. His job was to study alien life forms, their bodies, their diseases, and their cures. He was good at his work. Some said he was one of the best humans in the field. But Tae-ho never cared about praise. He cared about saving lives. He had his reasons for that thought. The ship was quiet tonight. Most of the crew was asleep. Tae-ho preferred the night shifts. Fewer people meant fewer questions. He could focus on his research without interruption. He was studying a sample of fungal spores from a moon they had visited last month when the alarm began to sound. Red lights flashed across the walls. A voice came through the speakers. It was Captain Yoon Hana. All senior staff to the bridge. Now. Tae-ho put down his tools and walked quickly through the metal corridors. When he arrived at the bridge, Captain Hana was already staring at the main screen. Her face was serious. It was always serious, but tonight there was something else in her eyes. Concern. "We received a distress signal," she said without turning around. "It is coming from a Celestin Royal cruiser." The room went silent. Everyone knew about the Celestins. They were one of the oldest civilizations in the galaxy. Their technology was far beyond anything humans had ever built. They had ships that could cross star systems in hours. They had weapons that could destroy planets. And they had always looked down on humans. To them, humanity was young, primitive, unimportant. "Why would a Celestin ship send a distress signal?" asked one of the officers. "I do not know," said Hana. "But we are the closest vessel. We have a duty to respond." Some of the crew shifted nervously. Helping the Celestins could be dangerous. But Hana was not the kind of captain who ignored people in need, no matter who they were. The Horizon's Edge changed course. Within 2 hours, they found the Celestin cruiser. It was drifting in space, dark and silent. There were no lights, no movement. It looked like a ghost ship. Hana sent a team to investigate. Tae-ho was part of that team. He wore a protective suit and carried medical equipment. He did not know what they would find inside. The cruiser was cold. The air was thin. Emergency lights flickered weakly along the walls. Bodies lay everywhere. Celestins had silver skin that glowed softly in life. But these bodies had no glow. They were gray and still. Dead. Tae-ho had seen death before. But not like this. Not so many at once. He counted at least 40 bodies in the first corridor alone. "What happened here?" whispered one of the soldiers beside him. Tae-ho knelt beside a body and scanned it with his device. The results made his stomach turn. "The Veil Plague," he said quietly. Everyone knew about the Veil Plague too. It was created during the last Galactic War as a weapon. It was designed to kill certain species. It spread fast and had no cure. The Celestins had managed to contain it for decades. But it seemed that containment had failed. They moved deeper into the ship. More bodies. More death. Tae-ho began to lose hope of finding anyone alive. Then he heard it. A faint sound. Breathing. He followed the sound to a small room near the back of the cruiser. Inside, lying on the floor, was a woman. Her silver skin was pale, but still had a faint glow. She was alive. Tae-ho rushed to her side. She was weak. Her eyes fluttered open and looked at him with confusion and fear. She had never seen a human up close before. That much was clear. "It is okay," Tae-ho said softly. "I am here to help you." He carried her back to the Horizon's Edge. The medical team took over immediately. They put her in a quarantine room and began treatment to stabilize her condition. Tejo watched through the glass as they worked. Captain Hana came to stand beside him. "Do you know who she is?" Hana asked. Tejo shook his head. "Her name is Lyrae. She is a princess of the Celestine Empire, the youngest daughter of the royal family." Tejo looked at the woman again. A princess. He had just carried a princess in his arms. He did not know whether to laugh or be worried. "Why was she on that ship?" he asked. "We do not know yet, but I want you to be her primary caretaker. You are a best xenobiologist. If anyone can help her recover, it is you." Tejo nodded slowly. He did not like the idea of special treatment for royalty, but a patient was a patient. He would do his job. Over the next few days, Lyrae slowly regained her strength. She did not speak much at first. She watched the humans around her with cautious eyes. She was not used to being weak. She was not used to depending on others. And she was certainly not used to depending on humans. But Tejo was patient. He brought her food. He checked her vital signs. He explained every treatment before he gave it. He never rushed her. He never demanded anything. One evening, she finally spoke more than a few words. "You are different from what I expected," she said. Her voice was soft but clear. "What did you expect?" Tejo asked. "I expected humans to be rough, uncivilized." Tejo smiled a little. "Some of us are, but most of us are just trying to do our best." Lyrae looked at him for a long moment. Then she told him the truth about her mission. "The Veil Plague is destroying my people," she said. "Billions have died. The royal family is almost gone. My father, my mother, my older sisters, all dead. Only my brother and I remain." Tejo listened in silence. "I came to find humans because of a rumor," Lyrae continued. "They say humans are immune to the plague. They say your bodies can fight it naturally. I came to find out if it was true. I came to find a cure." Tejo understood now. She had not come looking for help out of friendship. She had come because her people were dying and humans might be the only hope. "And if the rumor is true?" he asked. Lyrae met his eyes. There was desperation in her gaze, but also something else. Determination. "Then I will do whatever it takes to save my people." Tejo nodded slowly. He did not know yet if he could help, but he knew he would try, because that was who he was. That was why he had become a scientist in the first place. Outside the window, the stars continued to shine, cold and distant and endless. But inside the small medical room, something had begun. A connection between two people from different worlds. A fragile thread of hope in a galaxy full of darkness. And neither of them knew yet how much that thread would come to mean. Tejo spent the next 3 days running tests. He barely slept. He barely ate. He worked in the medical lab from morning until late at night, studying blood samples and genetic data. He needed to know if the rumors were true. He needed to know if humans really were immune to the Veil Plague. The answer came on the 4th day. He sat alone in the lab, staring at his computer screen. The data was clear. Human DNA contained a special protein sequence that could neutralize the plague completely. The virus simply could not survive in a human body. It died within hours of contact. Humans were not just immune. They were the cure. Tejo leaned back in his chair and closed his eyes. This was big news. This could save billions of lives. But he also knew it could cause problems. Humans had something the galaxy needed. That made them valuable. And valuable things were often taken by force. He reported his findings to Captain Hana first. She listened carefully and then sat in silence for a long time. "This changes everything," she finally said. "The Celestines are a proud people. They have looked down on us for centuries. Now they need us. Some of them will not accept that easily. I know, said Taeho. But we cannot hide the truth. People are dying. Hannah nodded slowly. You are right. Tell the princess. But be careful. We do not know how she will react. Taeho went to Lyray's room. She was sitting by the window, looking out at the stars. She looked healthier now. Her silver skin had regained some of its glow. But there was still sadness in her violet eyes. The weight of her lost family. The weight of her dying people. I have news, Taeho said as he sat down across from her. Lyray turned to look at him. She did not speak. She just waited. The rumors are true, he continued. Humans are immune to the Veil Plague. Our DNA contains proteins that can destroy the virus. For a moment, Lyray did not move. Then her eyes filled with tears. She had hoped for this. She had prayed for this. But hearing it was real was almost too much. You can save my people, she whispered. There is more, Taeho said carefully. Creating a cure is not simple. We cannot just take a blood sample and make medicine from it. The proteins need to be transferred directly, over time, through repeated physical contact. Lyray frowned. What do you mean? Taeho explained the science as simply as he could. The immunity proteins were fragile. They broke down quickly outside the human body. The only way to transfer them effectively was through prolonged skin-to-skin contact. The process would take weeks, maybe months, and it would need to happen every day. It is an intimate process, Taeho admitted. I understand if you are not comfortable with it. Lyray was silent for a long time. Among her people, physical closeness with strangers was rare. It was reserved for family, for lovers, for those who had earned deep trust. The idea of sharing such contact with a human, a species her people considered inferior, would have seemed impossible just weeks ago. But weeks ago, her family was alive. Weeks ago, her people were not dying by the millions. Who would be the donor? She asked quietly. I have volunteered, Taeho said. My protein levels are the highest among the crew. And I am already your doctor. It makes the most sense. Lyray studied his face. She had learned to read human expressions over the past few days. Taeho's face showed no pride, no excitement, only calm determination. He was not offering because he wanted something from her. He was offering because he believed it was the right thing to do. Why? She asked. Why would you do this for my people? We have never been kind to humans. Taeho was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke softly. When I was young, my sister got sick. There was a plague on Earth. Not like the Veil Plague, but bad enough. She was only 12 years old. I watched her suffer for weeks. And then I watched her die. Lyray's expression softened. I became a scientist because of her, Taeho continued. I wanted to make sure no one else had to feel what I felt. I do not care if your people look down on us. I do not care about politics or pride. I care about stopping death. If I can help, I will help. That is all. Lyray felt something shift inside her. She had met many powerful people in her life. Generals, leaders, kings. They all wanted something. They all had hidden motives. But this human sitting in front of her wanted nothing except to ease suffering. Very well, she said at last. We will begin the treatment. The first session was awkward. They sat facing each other in the medical room. Taeho explained that they needed to hold hands for at least an hour. Direct skin contact would allow the proteins to transfer slowly. Lyray hesitated before taking his hands. His skin was warm. Warmer than she expected. Celestine bodies ran cool. The heat of his touch was strange, but not unpleasant. They sat in silence at first. Neither knew what to say. But as the minutes passed, the silence became more comfortable. Tejo did not stare at her. He did not make her feel like a specimen. He simply held her hands and waited. "This is strange," Lyrae finally said. "Yes," Tejo agreed. "But many important things are strange at first." She almost smiled at that thought. The sessions continued every day. 1 hour turned into 2. Sometimes they sat in silence. Sometimes they talked. Tejo asked her about her home world. Lyrae asked him about Earth. They exchanged stories about their childhoods, their dreams, their fears. With each passing day, Lyrae felt her body growing stronger. The plague inside her was fading. She could feel it. But something else was growing too. Something she had not expected. She found herself looking forward to the sessions. Not because of the cure. Because of him. One evening, after a particularly long session, Tejo stood to leave. Lyrae reached out and caught his sleeve. "Wait," she said. He turned back to look at her. "Thank you," she said quietly. "Not just for the treatment. For treating me like a person. Not like a princess. Not like a patient. Just like a person." Tejo looked at her for a long moment. Then he nodded. "You are a person," he said simply. "The title does not change that." He left the room, and Lyrae sat alone with her thoughts. She had come to this ship looking for a cure. She had found one. But she was beginning to realize that she might have found something else, too. Something she was not ready to name. Outside her window, the stars continued their endless dance. And somewhere in the depths of space, a Celestin war fleet was already on its way. They had tracked the princess. They were coming to bring her home. But home was starting to feel like a complicated word. 3 weeks had passed since the treatments began. Lyrae's body was healing faster than anyone had expected. The plague inside her was almost completely gone. Her silver skin glowed brightly again. Her strength had returned. She could walk through the ship without help now, but she still came to Tejo's lab every evening. At first, she told herself it was for the treatment. The cure was not complete yet. She needed more sessions. But as the days went on, she stopped pretending. She came because she wanted to see him. Tonight was no different. She found Tejo sitting at his desk, reading something on his screen. He looked tired. There were dark circles under his eyes. He had been working too hard again. "You should rest more," Lyrae said as she entered. Tejo looked up and smiled slightly. "I will rest when the work is done." Humans say that a lot. And then they collapse from exhaustion. "You have been studying human behavior," he said with amusement. "I have been studying you," she replied without thinking. The words hung in the air between them. Lyrae felt her cheeks warm slightly. Among Celestins, admitting to watching someone closely was a sign of deep interest. She had not meant to say it so directly. Tejo did not seem bothered. He simply stood and gestured to the chairs by the window. "Shall we begin tonight's session?" They sat facing each other, as they always did. Lyrae took his hands. The warmth was familiar now. Comforting, even. She no longer noticed the difference in their skin temperatures. It felt natural. "Tell me something about your life," she said. "Something you have never told me before." Tejo thought for a moment. "My sister's name was Taeyeon. She was 10 years younger than me. She used to follow me everywhere when she was little. She wanted to be a scientist too. She said she wanted to cure every disease in the universe." Lyrae listened quietly. "When she got sick, I was in my final year of university. I came home to take care of her. I read to her every night. I told her stories about the stars. I promised her that when she got better, I would take her to see other planets." His voice grew softer. "She never got better. She died holding my hand." Lyrae felt a pain in her chest. She understood that kind of loss now. She had lost her entire family to the plague. Her parents, her sisters, everyone she had loved was gone. I'm sorry, she said. It was a long time ago, Taeho replied. But I think about her every day. She is the reason I do this work. Every life I save is for her. Lee Ray squeezed his hands gently. It was a small gesture, but it meant everything. My family did not understand me, she said after a moment. I was the youngest daughter. The spare. My older sisters were beautiful and talented. They were the ones who mattered. I was just there to fill space. Taeho frowned. That is not right. Every person has value. Humans believe that. Celestines do not. In my culture, value comes from what you can do for the Empire. I could not do much. I was not strong enough. Not smart enough. At least, that is what they told me. They were wrong, Taeho said firmly. Lyrae looked at him. There was no doubt in his eyes. He truly believed what he said. When the plague started, my family ignored it at first, she continued. They thought our technology would save us. They thought we were above such things. By the time they realized the truth, it was too late. My sisters died first. Then my mother. Then my father. Only my brother and I survived. Your brother? Prince Voreth? Yes, he is the heir now. He is everything the Empire wants in a ruler. Strong, cold, ruthless. He does not believe in asking for help. He believes in taking what he needs. There was a warning in her words. Taeho understood. Is he coming for you? Lyrae nodded slowly. He will find out where I am, eventually. And when he does, he will come. Not to save me, to take the cure. We will not let him take anything by force, Taeho said. You do not know him. You do not know what he is capable of. I know what I am capable of, Taeho replied. And I am capable of protecting my patients. Lyrae felt a strange warmth spread through her. No one had ever promised to protect her before. Not like this. Not with such simple honesty. The session ended, but neither of them moved. They stayed by the window, still holding hands, watching the stars. I used to hate looking at the stars, Lyrae admitted. They reminded me of how big the universe is, how small I am, how little I matter. And now? Now they remind me that there are endless possibilities, endless chances for things to be different than they were. Taeho turned to look at her. The soft light of the stars reflected in his eyes. You matter, Lyrae, not because you are a princess, not because of your empire. You matter because you are you, because you came all this way to save your people, even though everyone told you it was impossible. That takes courage. Lyrae's heart beat faster. No one had ever spoken to her like this. No one had ever seen her like this. Taeho, she said softly. Yes? She opened her mouth to say something more, but the moment was interrupted by a knock on the door. It was Captain Hana. I am sorry to disturb you, Hana said. Her face was serious. But we have a problem. Long-range sensors have detected a Celestin war fleet approaching. They will be here within 2 days. Lyrae's blood ran cold. Voreth, he had found her. How many ships? Taeho asked. At least 20, including the flagship. 20 warships against one small research vessel. The odds were impossible. What do we do? Lyrae asked. Hana looked at her steadily. That depends on you, Princess. Are you going to go with them? Or are you going to stay? It was a simple question with a complicated answer. If Lyrae left, the crew would be safe. But Taeho would not be safe. She knew her brother. He would not ask for help. He would demand it. And if Taeho refused, Voreth would take him by force. If she stayed, she would be defying her own people. She would be choosing humans over her empire. She looked at Taeho. He did not tell her what to do. He did not pressure her. He simply waited, trusting her to make her own choice. I need time to think, she said finally. Hana nodded. You have 2 days. Use them wisely. The captain left, and Lyrae and Tejo were alone again. The stars outside seemed colder now. The warmth of the moment before had faded. Whatever you decide, Tejo said quietly. I will understand. Lyrae shook her head. How can you say that? If I leave, my brother will take you. He will use you like a tool and then throw you away. Maybe, but your choice should be about what you believe is right. Not about me. She stared at him. You are the strangest human I have ever met. I will take that as a compliment. Despite everything, Lyrae laughed. It was a small sound, broken and tired, but real. I do not know what to do, she admitted. Then do not decide tonight, Tejo said. Rest. Think. The answer will come. He walked her to her room and said good night at the door. Lyrae watched him go. Then she sat by her window and looked at the stars until morning. The answer did not come easily. But when it finally arrived, it was clearer than anything she had ever known. The Celestin war fleet arrived exactly on time. 20 warships surrounded the horizon's edge like wolves circling a wounded deer. Each ship was 10 times the size of the human vessel. Their weapons could destroy the entire crew in seconds. Captain Hana stood on the bridge, her face calm despite the danger. Tejo stood beside her. Lyrae was there too, wearing her royal robes for the first time since she had arrived. She wanted her brother to see her as a princess, not a refugee. The main screen flickered and a face appeared. Prince Vorath. He looked like Lyrae in some ways. The same silver skin, the same violet eyes. But where Lyrae's face held warmth and sadness, Vorath held only cold ambition. He was tall and sharp, like a blade given human form. Sister, he said. His voice was smooth but dangerous. You have caused quite a problem. Brother, Lyrae replied. She kept her voice steady. I did what I had to do. You ran away to beg help from humans. Do you know how that looks? The princes of the Celestin Empire, kneeling before a primitive species. They are not primitive. They saved my life. They found a cure for the plague. Vorath's eyes flickered with interest, but his expression did not change. Yes, I have heard the reports. Human DNA contains the key to ending the Veil Plague. How convenient. It is not convenient. It is hope. Hope is a word for the weak. Vorath leaned forward. I am here to bring you home, Lyrae, and I am here to collect the cure. Captain Hana stepped forward. The cure is not something you can collect. It requires willing cooperation. Our scientist has been working closely with your sister to develop a treatment. Vorath's eyes moved to Hana. He looked at her the way someone might look at an insect. You are the captain of this ship? I am. Then you should understand your position. You are surrounded. You are outgunned. You have nothing to bargain with. We have the cure, Hana said simply. And we have your sister. That seems like quite a lot. For a moment, something dangerous flashed in Vorath's eyes. But then he smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. Very well. I will come aboard to discuss this in person. Prepare to receive me. The screen went dark. Lyra's hands were shaking. Tejo noticed and moved closer to her. It will be all right, he said quietly. You do not know him, she whispered. He is not here to negotiate. He is here to take what he wants. Vorath arrived with 6 guards. They were tall and armed with weapons that hummed with energy. They looked at the human crew with open contempt. Vorath walked through the ship like he owned it. His eyes moved over everything, judging, calculating. When he reached the meeting room where Hana and the others waited, he did not sit down. He stood at the head of the table as if he were in charge. Let us not waste time, he said. I want the human scientist who has been treating my sister. I want all research data on the cure. And I want Lyrae to return to her duties. The scientist's name is Kang Taeho, Hana replied. And he is not property. You cannot simply take him. I am not asking. I am telling you what will happen. You can cooperate and live, or you can resist and die. The choice is yours. Taeho spoke up. I am willing to help develop the cure. I want to save lives, including Celestin lives. But I will not be treated as a tool. I will not be forced. Vorath turned to look at him. His violet eyes were cold. You are a human. Your willingness does not matter. Your species exists to serve those who are stronger. That is the natural order. Maybe in your culture, Taeho replied. Not in mine. For a long moment, no one moved. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut. Then Vorath laughed. It was a harsh sound without warmth. You have courage, human. I will give you that. But courage without power is meaningless. He turned to Lyrae. Sister, come with me. We will discuss this privately. Lyrae hesitated. She looked at Taeho. He gave her a small nod. She followed her brother out of the room. They walked through the corridors of the ship until they reached an empty storage area. Vorath checked to make sure they were alone. Then he turned to face her. What are you doing, Lyrae? I am trying to save our people. By making friends with humans? By holding hands with that scientist? He spat the words. I have seen the reports. I know about your treatment sessions. Do you have any idea how pathetic that looks? Lyrae felt her anger rise. At least I am trying something. What have you done? Sat on your throne while our people died? I have been building alliances, gathering power, planning for the future of our empire. There will be no empire if everyone is dead. Vorath stepped closer. His voice dropped to a whisper. The council has made a decision, Lyrae. We do not need the human's cooperation. We only need his body. His DNA can be extracted. His proteins can be harvested. He does not need to be alive for that. Lyrae's blood turned to ice. You cannot be serious. I am completely serious. One human life in exchange for billions of Celestin lives. It is simple mathematics. It is murder. It is necessity. Vorath grabbed her arm. You will come home with me. You will support this decision publicly. And you will forget about that human. Lyrae pulled her arm free. No, no. Vorath's eyes widened. You dare defy me. I dare to be better than you. I dare to believe that we can save our people without becoming monsters. You are a fool. Lyrae, you always were. Maybe, but at least I can still look at myself in the mirror. They stared at each other in silence. Brother and sister. Once family, now enemies. You have until morning to change your mind, Vorath said finally. If you do not come with me willingly, I will take you by force. And I will take the human too. Either way, I will get what I came for. He turned and walked away. His guards followed. They left the ship without another word. Lyrae stood alone in the storage room. Her whole body was shaking. She had known Vorath was ruthless, but she had not known how far he was willing to go. She had to warn Taeho. She had to tell him the truth. She ran through the corridors until she found him in his lab. He was preparing for the next treatment session as if nothing had happened. He looked up when she burst through the door. Lyrae? What is wrong? She could barely speak. The words came out in a rush. My brother. The council. They want to kill you. They want to harvest your DNA by force. They do not care about cooperation. They do not care about your life. You are just a resource to them. Taeho listened in silence. When she finished, he nodded slowly. I suspected as much. You suspected? And you are not afraid? "I am afraid," he admitted. "But fear does not change what is right. I will not help them if it means being treated as less than human. That is not how the cure should be given to the galaxy." Lyrae felt tears burning in her eyes. "How can you be so calm? They will kill you. Maybe, but I would rather die standing than live kneeling." She stared at him. This strange human. This impossible man. He was facing death and still thinking about principles. "I will not let them hurt you," she said fiercely. "I do not know how, but I will find a way." Tejo looked at her for a long moment. Then he reached out and took her hand. "We will find a way together." Outside the window, the Celestin warships waited in the darkness. Morning was coming fast, and with it, a choice that would change everything. It was past midnight. The ship was silent. Most of the crew had gone to bed, but no one was really sleeping. Everyone knew what morning would bring. Everyone knew the odds were against them. Lyrae stood outside Tejo's door. She had been standing there for 10 minutes, trying to find the courage to knock. Her mind was full of thoughts she could not organize. Her heart was full of feelings she could not name. Finally, she raised her hand and knocked. The door opened almost immediately. Tejo stood there in simple clothes. He did not look surprised to see her. It was as if he had been waiting. "Come in," he said quietly. She entered his quarters. It was a small room, simple and clean. There were books on his desk. Real paper books, old and worn. There was a photograph on the wall. A young girl with a bright smile. His sister. "I could not sleep," Lyrae said. "Neither could I." They stood facing each other in the dim light. Outside the window, the Celestin warships were visible, dark shapes against the stars. "I have been thinking," Lyrae said slowly, "about everything. About the plague. About my brother. About what I should do. And what have you decided?" "I do not know." She laughed bitterly. "I have never been good at making decisions. My whole life, other people decided things for me. What to wear. What to study. Who to meet. I was never allowed to choose." "You are allowed to choose now," Tejo said. "Am I?" "It does not feel that way. Every choice seems to lead to someone getting hurt." She walked to the window and looked out at the stars. Tejo did not move. He gave her space. "When I was little," she said, "I used to dream about leaving the palace, running away to some distant world where no one knew my name, where I could just be ordinary. And now? Now I realize that running away does not solve anything. The problems follow you. The pain follows you. You cannot escape who you are." She turned to face him. There were tears in her eyes. "But you can choose who you become." Tejo nodded. "That is true." Lyrae took a step toward him, then another. She stopped when they were only an arm's length apart. "I need to ask you something," she said, "and I need you to answer honestly. Can you do that?" "I can try." She took a deep breath. Her voice trembled slightly. "If I were not a princess, if there was no plague, no empire, no need for your cure, would you still look at me the way you do?" Tejo was silent for a moment. He did not look away from her. His eyes were steady and clear. "What way do I look at you?" "Like I matter. Like I am worth something. Like I am not just a title or a problem to be solved." Tejo's expression softened. "Lyrae, please. I need to know. Have these past weeks meant anything real? Or was I just a patient? Just a project?" He stepped closer. His hand reached out and gently touched her cheek. His skin was warm, as always. "You were never just a patient," he said quietly. "I do not know when it changed. Maybe it was the first time you laughed at one of my bad jokes. Maybe it was the night you told me about your sisters. Maybe it was every small moment in between. But somewhere along the way, I stopped seeing the princess. I started seeing you. Lyra's breath caught in her throat. Just me? Just you. She felt something break inside her. A wall she had built a long time ago. A wall that protected her from hoping for things she could never have. Tao, she whispered. She reached for the seal of her suit. It was a simple gesture, but among Celestins, it meant everything. To open your seal before someone was to show complete vulnerability. Complete trust. It was the most intimate thing a Celestine could do. Her fingers found the small clasp at her collar. She began to pull it down. Taeho's hand caught hers. He stopped her gently but firmly. Lyra, wait. She looked up at him, confused. Do you not want? I want you to be safe, he said. I want you to be sure. But right now, you are scared. You are facing something terrible tomorrow. I do not want you to do something because you think it might be your last chance. Her eyes filled with fresh tears. What if it is my last chance? Then let the last thing between us be honesty, not desperation. He brought her hand to his lips and kissed it softly. Do you desire me, Lyra? Or do you just want to feel something before the fear takes over? She stared at him. No one had ever asked her that before. No one had ever cared what she actually wanted. I do not know, she admitted. I have never been allowed to want anything for myself. I do not know how to tell the difference. Taeho nodded. Then let us figure it out together. Not tonight, but after. When we survive this, how can you be so sure we will survive? I am not sure, but I believe in hope. And I believe in you. Lyra laughed through her tears. You believe in me? The spare princess who could never do anything right? I believe in the woman who crossed the galaxy to save her people. I believe in the woman who chose kindness over cruelty, even when her own brother chose differently. I believe in you, Lyra, not because of your title, because of your heart. She could not speak. The tears were falling freely now. She leaned forward and rested her head against his chest. His arms wrapped around her and held her close. They stood like that for a long time. Not as a princess and a scientist. Not as different species from different worlds. Just as two people who had found something real in the middle of chaos. I am scared, she finally whispered. I know. So am I. What if we fail? Then we fail together. But I would rather fail trying to do what is right than succeed by becoming what we hate. Lyra lifted her head and looked at him. In the dim light, his face was calm, strong, kind. Everything she had never known she needed. Taeho. Yes. Thank you. For what? For seeing me. The real me. Not the title. Not the expectations. Just me. He smiled. It was a small smile, but it reached his eyes. Thank you for letting me. She kissed him then. It was a soft kiss, gentle and brief. A promise, not a farewell. When she pulled back, she felt different. The fear was still there, but it was not alone anymore. There was something else beside it. Something warm and strong and new. I should go, she said. We both need rest before morning. You are right. She walked to the door and paused. She looked back at him one last time. Whatever happens tomorrow, she said, I want you to know something. What? The answer to my question. She smiled through her tears. The one I asked you. I know the answer now. And what is it? I desire you, Taeho. Not just the cure. Not just the hope you represent. You. The man who showed me that I could choose who I become. She left before he could respond. But she heard his soft laugh through the closing door. And she carried that sound with her through the long, dark night. Tomorrow, everything would change. But tonight, for the first time in her life, Lyra knew exactly what she wanted. And she was ready to fight for it. Morning came too quickly. The artificial lights of the ship brightened slowly, mimicking a sunrise that no one on board could see. Captain Hana was already on the bridge when Taeho and Lyrae arrived. She looked like she had not slept at all. "Vorath has sent a message," Hana said. "He wants an answer. He wants the scientist and the princess. He says if we refuse, he will board us by force." Lyrae stepped forward. "I have an answer for him." Hana raised an eyebrow. "And what is that?" "No." The word hung in the air. "Simple. Final. Are you sure?" Hana asked. "He has 20 warships. We have 1 research vessel. The math is not in our favor." "The math does not matter," Lyrae replied. "What matters is that we do what is right. My brother wants to treat humans as less than people. He wants to take what he needs by force and throw away whoever gets in his way. I will not be part of that. I will not help him build an empire on cruelty." Hana looked at her for a long moment. Then she smiled. "I was hoping you would say that." She turned to the communications officer. "Open a channel. All frequencies. I want everyone to hear this. The Celestin fleet, our crew, and anyone else in range." The officer nodded and pressed several buttons. "Channel open, Captain." Hana stepped forward and faced the screen. Her voice was calm and clear. "This is Captain Yoon Hana of the human research vessel, Horizon's Edge. I am speaking to Prince Vorath and the Celestin war fleet surrounding us. I am also speaking to anyone else who can hear this message." She paused. The silence was heavy. "Prince Vorath has demanded that we hand over one of our crew members. He wants to take a human scientist named Kang Taeho and use him to create a cure for the Veil Plague. On the surface, this sounds reasonable. The plague is killing millions. A cure would save countless lives." Hana's eyes hardened. "But Vorath does not want cooperation. He wants control. He does not want to work with us. He wants to use us. He has made it clear that humans are nothing more than resources to him. Tools to be used and thrown away." She took a breath. "For centuries, the Celestin Empire is called humanity primitive, uncivilized, lesser. They looked down on us because our technology was not as advanced, because our ships were slower, because we were young." Her voice grew stronger. "But today, I want to ask a question. What does it mean to be civilized? Does it mean having powerful weapons? Does it mean ruling over others? Does it mean taking what you want without caring who you hurt?" She shook her head. "We do not think so. Humanity believes that civilization means treating others with dignity. It means helping those in need, not because we have to, but because it is right. It means seeing every life as valuable, regardless of species or status." She gestured to Taeho. "This man volunteered to help Princess Lyrae when she was dying. He did not ask for payment. He did not demand respect. He simply saw someone in pain and chose to help. That is what humanity stands for." She turned back to the screen. "Prince Vorath, you want our scientist? You cannot have him. Not because we are afraid of you. We are afraid. Your ships could destroy us in seconds. But fear does not decide our choices. Our values do." Her final words rang out across the void. "Humanity will not kneel. We will not be used. We will not become lesser to survive. If you want to take our people by force, you will have to destroy us. And then you can explain to the galaxy why you murdered the only people willing to help you freely." She nodded to the officer. The channel stayed open, waiting for a response. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then Vorath's face appeared on the screen. His expression was cold, but there was something else in his eyes. Uncertainty. "You are brave, Captain. I will give you that. But bravery does not win wars." "Sometimes it does," Hana replied, "because bravery inspires people." As if on cue, another signal appeared on the sensors. Then another. And another. The officer looked up, eyes wide. Captain, we are receiving messages from other ships in the sector. Human vessels. They are changing course. They are coming here. Hannah smiled. How many? 12 so far. No, wait. 15. More are responding. Tejo looked at the screen in amazement. Cargo ships. Transport vessels. Even a few old military cruisers. They were all coming. They had heard Hannah's message, and they were responding. But that was not the only surprise. Another signal came through. This one was Celestin. Captain Hannah, said a new voice. This is Commander Sarah of the Celestin ship Silver Dawn. I have served the Empire for 40 years. I have followed orders without question. But I cannot follow this. Laura's face darkened. Commander, what are you doing? What I should have done a long time ago, Prince. The humans answered our distress call. They saved your sister. They offered to share a cure freely. And you want to repay them with violence? That is not honor. That is not strength. That is fear disguised as power. More Celestin ships began signaling. One by one, they broke formation. They moved away from Vorath's flagship and positioned themselves between the war fleet and the horizon's edge. You are all traitors, Vorath shouted. We are patriots, Commander Sarah replied. We love our people. And that is why we cannot let you destroy the only hope we have. Vorath's face twisted with rage. He looked at the screen, at Hannah, at Lyrae. This is not over, sister. You have made an enemy today. I have made a choice, Lyrae said. And I will live with it. Vorath's image disappeared. His flagship turned and began to retreat. The remaining loyal ships followed him. Within an hour, they had jumped to hyperspace and were gone. The bridge of the horizon's edge erupted in cheers. Crew members hugged each other. Someone was crying with relief. Lyrae stood in the middle of it all, stunned. She had expected to die today. She had expected to lose everything. Instead, she had witnessed something she never thought possible. Humans had stood against an empire, and the empire had blinked. Tejo appeared beside her. He was smiling. I told you we would find a way, he said. You did not do this alone. Everyone did. The crew, the other ships, even some of my own people. That is how it should be. No one should have to stand alone. Captain Hannah walked over to them. She looked exhausted but triumphant. Princess Lyrae, what happens now? Your brother is gone, but he will not forget this. Lyrae thought for a moment. Then she lifted her chin. Now we build something new. The old empire was built on pride and power. It was rotting from within long before the plague came. But today, Celestins and humans stood together. That has never happened before. She looked at Tejo. I want to create an alliance. Real cooperation between our peoples. A cure developed together, shared freely, without control or ownership. A new way forward. Hannah nodded slowly. That is a big dream. Big dreams are the only kind worth having. Outside the window, the human ships had arrived. They floated beside the Celestin vessels that had defected. Different designs, different technologies, but united by a common purpose. Tejo reached out and took Lyrae's hand. She did not pull away. We had a lot of work to do, he said. Yes, we do. But for the first time in a long time, work did not feel like a burden. It felt like hope. 6 months had passed since the standoff. The galaxy had changed in ways no one could have predicted. The cure was complete. Tejo and his team, working alongside Celestin scientists, had found a way to synthesize the immunity proteins. They had created a treatment that could be produced in large quantities and distributed across the stars. The Veil Plague was no longer a death sentence. Billions of lives would be saved. The joint human Celestin research station orbited a small moon in neutral space. It was a strange place, built from pieces of both cultures. Human technology mixed with Celestin design. Different languages echoed through the corridors. Different species worked side by side, that it was not perfect. There were arguments, misunderstandings. Old prejudices did not disappear overnight. But people were trying. And sometimes, trying was enough. Lyrae had given up her claim to the throne. She had announced it publicly, to the shock of the entire empire. She did not want to rule. She did not want to be a princess anymore. She wanted to serve Dot, so she had become an ambassador. The first Celestin ever to officially represent her people in dealings with humanity. It was a new position, created for a new age. She spent her days in meetings, negotiations, and endless discussions about the future. It was exhausting. It was frustrating. And she loved every moment of it. Prince Vorith had not been seen since the standoff. Some said he had retreated to a distant sector. Others said he was gathering loyal forces, planning his return. The old empire was fracturing, splitting into factions. Some supported the new alliance. Others rejected it. But that was a problem for another day. Today, Lyrae had more important things to think about. She stood on the observation deck of the research station, watching a transport ship approach. It carried the first shipment of the cure to the Celestin colony world of Alara, a planet with over 2 billion people, all of them waiting for hope. Footsteps approached behind her. She did not need to turn around to know who it was. The ship will arrive in 3 hours, Taiho said, stopping beside her. The local medical teams are ready. Distribution begins tomorrow. I know. Lyrae smiled. I have read the reports 12 times. Only 12? You must be getting lazy. She laughed. It was easy to laugh now. It had taken time, but she had learned how. Taiho looked tired. He always looked tired these days. There was too much work and too few people to do it. He spent his days in the lab and his nights reviewing data. He had lost weight. His eyes were rimmed with shadows, but he was happy. Lyrae could see it in the way he carried himself, in the quiet satisfaction that came from doing work that mattered. You should rest more, she said. You say that every day. Because it is true every day. He shrugged. I will rest when the work is done. The work will never be done. There will always be more to do. Then I will rest when I am dead. She hit his arm lightly. Do not say that. It is not funny. Who says I was joking? They fell into comfortable silence. Outside the window, the stars gleamed. So many worlds. So many lives. So much possibility. Do you ever regret it? Lyrae asked quietly. Regret what? All of this. Everything that happened. You could have lived a quiet life. You could have stayed on Earth, doing simple research, never getting involved in politics or wars or alliances. Taiho thought about it. He always took her questions seriously. It was one of the things she loved about him. No, he finally said. I do not regret it. The quiet life was safe, but it was also small. I was hiding from the world, because I was afraid of being hurt again. But hiding does not stop the pain. It just makes you miss out on the good things too. And this? She gestured at the station around them. Is this a good thing? He turned to look at her. His eyes were warm. You are a good thing. Lyrae felt heat rise to her cheeks. Even after all these months, he could still make her blush. That was very smooth, she said. I have been practicing. She laughed again. Then she grew serious. My brother is still out there. He has not forgiven me. He will come back eventually. There will be more conflict. More danger. I know. Are you ready for that? Taiho reached out and took her hand. His skin was warm, as always. She had grown to love that warmth. "I am ready for anything," he said, "as long as we face it together." Larray squeezed his hand. She did not have words for what she was feeling, but she did not need words. He understood. They stood together and watched the transport ship grow smaller as it traveled toward Alara. 2 billion people waiting for a cure. 2 billion lives that would continue because two strangers from different worlds had chosen trust over fear. Larray. "Yes." "You never answered my question properly." She frowned. "What question?" "That night on the horizon's edge. You asked me if I desired you or just the cure. You told me your answer, but I never got to tell you mine." She looked at him. His face was calm, but his eyes held something deeper. "And what is your answer?" He smiled. It was a small smile, but it reached all the way to his heart. "I think I have been answering it every day since." She stared at him. Then she understood. Every small kindness, every shared meal, every late-night conversation, every time he had put her needs before his own, every time he had stood by her side without being asked. He had been answering her question all along. Not with words, with actions. "You really are the strangest human I have ever met," she whispered. "I know." She leaned into him. He wrapped his arm around her shoulders. They fit together perfectly, despite all the ways they were different. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now we keep going. We build the alliance. We save more lives. We prove that different species can work together. We show the galaxy that the old ways are not the only ways." That sounds like a lot of work. It is. It is. But it is good work. And I would rather do good work with you than easy work alone. Larray closed her eyes and listened to his heartbeat. Steady, strong, human. She had crossed the galaxy looking for a cure. She had found one. But she had also found something she had never known she was looking for. Something more valuable than any medicine dot. She had found a home. Not a place. A person. The stars stretched out before them. Endless. Beautiful. Full of possibility. The old empire was crumbling. The new alliance was growing. The plague was being defeated. And two people who had been broken by loss had found healing in each other. It was not a fairy tale. Fairy tales were simple. Life was complicated. There would be more challenges ahead. More fights. More failures. More pain. But there would also be more hope. More laughter. More love. And that was enough. Larray opened her eyes and looked at the man beside her. The human who had saved her life and changed her heart. "Teho, yes?" "Thank you." "For what?" "For everything. For being stubborn. For being kind. For seeing me when no one else did." He pressed a kiss to the top of her head. "Thank you for letting me." Outside the window, a new day was dawning on a distant world. The first of many. And somewhere in the endless dark between the stars, hope was spreading. One cure at a time. One choice at a time. One heart at a time. That was humanity's greatest strength. Not technology. Not weapons. Not power. Heart. And that strength would light the way forward for generations to come.